we're looking at a real situation in the NBA with Ja Morant. And he went on Instagram last week after a game in Denver and was in a club. It's been identified. What was it? You see something Willie's or something like that. It's a gentleman's club, they call it. It's in Denver or outside of Denver, near there.
A strip club.
Yeah, it's called Shotgun Willie's, and they called it a gentleman's club in the ESPN article. But yeah, strip club, and he was filmed himself on Instagram with a gun.
What appears to be a gun, right?
Yeah, and now he's being investigated by the police in Colorado. But you know, Rob, I've done a little. You know, I talked to some people today about the situation around the league. And a lot of people are concerned about Ja Morant. This is not, there have been articles now written about him and a friend of his beating up a 17-year-old basketball player who was at Ja's house to play ball. And they got into a scuffle, and Ja sucker punched him, and the friend jumped in, and they both beat him up, according to the friend. This was in the Washington Post. There's an incident where he threatened a security guard at a mall in I think it was in Memphis. And his mom got into it, with a security guard at a sneaker store. And the story about beating up the 17-year-old, allegedly Ja came out of the house after they had beat him down and the kid was leaving with a gun in his waistband and put his hand on it. So Ja, for his part, says the kid, threatened to come back and, do something to the family. So his family sued the kid and his family for threatening them and stuff like that. So, but I've talked to people, Rob, and they've saying that there's a lot going on with Ja and this type of behavior that hasn't been reported yet. It's a lot of other things, and the NBA has known about it. The Nike has known about it. The Grizzlies have known about it, and it's really just coming to light. And he's out, of course, not playing for the next game. He missed the last game. They said he missed at least the next two, but the suspension, or they're not calling it a suspension, Rob, but it's basically indefinite. So he'll be out for a little while at least. He released a statement himself saying that he was going to, he apologized to everyone, of course, family, the Grizzlies, the NBA, so on and so forth, and said he's, getting help to deal with the stress of his life and to better deal with the things he's going through. So hopefully he'll work things out. But what are your thoughts, Rob? I got some thoughts on it, but I want to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, I think this has been coming for a while. We've been hearing little bits and pieces, and if the NBA knew some other stuff, you just wonder if they had a conversation with them or they, I'm not
I
saying
don't think so.
I'm not saying, and I'm not saying they had to take discipline action, but, you could still speak to somebody, call them in and say, hey, like all of this stuff we keep hearing, and I just want to make sure you're cool, or what's happening in your world or your life. Do you have good people around you? Right. People who can keep you safe and not get you in a bad situation. What's scary, Chris, is the stuff that he's doing just isn't smart. That's the first thing I thought of. Like, you're going on Instagram Live. We don't know for sure if it was a real gun, but what appears to be a gun in a strip club, and you're showing it. Do you know what I mean? Like you could. There's a lot of stuff going on. Somebody could be bothering you, Chris. You could get in some altercation. I get all that. Like, that's unprovoked. You doing something that there's no benefit to you at all, other than trouble and problems. So that's what's scary.
Why would you even do that?
Right, Chris. That's what I'm saying. Are you trying
to impress somebody?
Who are you trying to? Right,
hard,
And I think that's the part that's scary. Like, considering all that he has going on in his life and all the good and all that other stuff, that you would take part in that and jeopardize everything like that. That's the part that's shocking. I'll give him credit that he didn't try to make excuses. He took responsibility and accountability, Chris. We talk about that all the time. There's a reason why they put erasers on pencils. People make mistakes. So it's okay to apologize, right? And own it. And own it, which he did. So that's a good start. This isn't one of those, I don't know what you're talking about. Like what? What did I do? I ain't break no law. I ain't shoot nobody. Like it could have been that. That's not what it was. And thank God.
Yeah. I think, Robin, our friend, our colleague Shannon Sharp called out Ja, because Ja's from a 2-parent household in rural South Carolina. Father T. Morant, who you've probably, if you watch the Grizzlies, have seen front row in their games.
He's everywhere. I mean,
right, sunglasses on. They raised him the right way. They built a basketball court for him in the backyard, and he worked on his game. And there's a story about how Ja was playing video games one night with his friends, and the dad came home and said, while you playing video games, somebody's working on their game. Everybody else working on their game. And Ja was, okay, kept playing. The dad said it again. And from that point on, Ja got the picture and started working on his game, and the rest is history. I would say this, Rob. I'm gonna say something to T. Morant, the dad, and Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA. They need to step up. They can't control Ja Morant, but the dad, T. Morant, needs to really deal with his son. Rob, I had the impression from watching things unfold this year, ever since Ja been in the NBA. And it was just my feeling, because I don't know Ja or his dad.
Right.
But then I talked to some people in the league that know the situation and they're somewhat close to it, and they said, yeah, that's what's going on. My feeling, Rob, was that obviously T. Morant did a very good job raising Ja. Once he got to the NBA, though, Ja now is the breadwinner. And I don't know if T's working or not, but obviously they don't need to work. The son's making millions of dollars and can take care of everybody. They got 2 homes in Memphis. They live next door and things like that to each other. And now it feels like, to me, and again, others said, yes, what's going on. Once Ja made the league, once Ja became a superstar, he's making all this money, T went from being the dad to being Ja's boy. And he's out there now living the NBA life. Like you said, he's at all the games. He's in sunglasses. He's kicking it. He's kicking it with his son, right, living the NBA life. And now it's time for you to kill that noise and become the authority figure again. Now, Ja might not listen. He's an adult now, 23 years old. But even if it strains your relationship to a degree or threatens to strain it, you need to step up and tell your son what he needs to do. He's blowing it. Everything you worked for your whole life, all the sacrifices you made, you are blowing it.
Only thing
you're blowing endorsements. You're blowing your reputation with the league. If this is all true, and again, I haven't heard anybody saying, they've said it's worse than you see.
Then everybody really knows, right?
Right. And then I think, Rob, Adam Silver, the commissioner. Rob, you remember when Allen Iverson made a rap was going to make a gangster rap album, right? David Stern called him into his office and talked to him about, you can't do this. And Allen didn't do it. And I think Adam Silver, this is worse. Allen Iverson was never involved in stuff like this. I mean, he had this situation in high school with the
bowling
fight,
alley, right?
But I don't even think he was he wasn't the driving force behind that, and it certainly wasn't guns involved. But he wasn't involved in things like this. Adam Silver needs to call Ja Morant in and talk to him about what's happening.
But that call should have probably came already, because of all the other stuff.
It should have, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, it got to a head, Chris, to where we are now.
But it should still come now if it hasn't come already.
Saying,
I mean, he got involved in the Kyrie Irving situation, which was just a documentary. You know what I mean? Get involved in this.